Hi everyone, welcome to another Inward Safari expedition. I'm Joel Casey. How do you feel right now? How do you feel? Funny question to ask. I hope that you have enough interest in your life that you'll realize the inward journey, getting to know oneself, is so vital to how we experience life. So when we ask the question of ourselves, how am I feeling about what I'm doing right now, what I'm engaged in? How do I feel about my current life situation, circumstances that I find myself in? I could even go general. How do I feel about life itself? Because how we feel determines the level of experience that we have, the deliciousness of life. Or we can actually, of course, distort life into such a way that it feels awful. It feels like, get me out of here. This is no fun whatsoever. So the more self-responsibility we have and the more interest we have in our lives, then the more often we're going to check in with ourselves and ask the question, how do I feel right now? Because we actually have a choice. Now, we can get so involved with life that it doesn't feel like we have any choice at all. We can get so involved in our day that we just go on automatic pilot and things happen. We might react to this or that in a certain way. Rather than being proactive, we have a knee-jerk reaction, and we actually believe and feel that person, places, or people, places, or things determine how it is that I'm feeling, when in fact I'm actually giving them my power. I'm giving my power away, so to speak. Never really do, but it feels like I am. And I'm letting them tell me, they dictate how it is that I feel, when in reality it's always my choice. So there's this thing called momentum. The more we check in with ourselves, the more often we ask the question, how am I feeling? What thoughts and feelings am I entertaining right now? The more momentum we build to doing that. So it may feel a little unnatural at first, but then the more we do it, the easier it becomes. The easier it becomes, the more we check in with ourselves. Why? Because we realize, oh, it's always up to me on how I feel. It's never up to a certain situation or circumstance that I'm in, or people, places, or things. It's always up to me. It's my interpretation. I mentioned this, and I don't think we can mention it too much. It's our interpretation of the experience, not the experience itself. So if we give our power away, okay, then we give our power away. There's going to be momentum in that as well. And we're going to start spiraling downward and downward, and we're going to feel less and less empowered and more the victim, when victimness is not really our true nature. We are in charge of what we're thinking and how we're feeling, regardless of the circumstance. Circumstance has nothing to do with anything. It's our interpretation of the experience. That's what's going to determine how we feel. So it's never anything outside of us that causes us to feel a certain way. And really, in our subjective world, it's not our thoughts either, because we're not our thoughts. We have thoughts, no question about it, but we're not our thoughts. So we can choose what thoughts we're going to entertain. So throughout the day, build momentum. Ask yourself, how am I feeling right now? Just check in. The more you check in, the more likely you're going to check in again, because you'll realize, I'm feeling this way, and oh, I'm feeling this way because I am misperceiving something. I'm interpreting something from a limited point of view. The higher expanded point of view I have, the more I'll realize that it's always up to me, that it's not anything outside of me that determines how I feel. So play with it throughout the day. Again, if you have enough interest in your life, you will definitely do this. And the more often you do it, the more you'll do it. The easier it becomes, the more you'll do it. The more you do it, the easier it becomes. And you'll build momentum and momentum and momentum. And pretty soon it's going to be second nature to you. It'll be as important as taking your next conscious breath. So ask yourself often, how am I feeling? Thanks for joining me.